بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق والخاتم لما سبق والناصر الحق بالحق والهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه حق قدره ومقدار عظيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري. بسم الله. This is the talk on navigating relationships. And I told you guys I would give you a roadmap or a blueprint on how to do so. And really, subhanAllah, what I'm going to give you, it's not just a blueprint on navigating relationships, but it is really a blueprint on prioritizing your life. So it's really important, and this is um who knows what this is, what I'm looking at right now. So share my screen. So this is, it's from the unedited version. I still have to edit it, but this is from um the some of what I will be covering also in my revival course. But who knows what we're looking at here? This table, what is it? Anyone? Okay, so this is the uh, this is maqasid of Sharia. This is the chart of like the goals of the Sharia. And what that does is, um, so you may have heard of the maqasid of Sharia, the goals that like the Sharia, those things that the Sharia seeks to protect. But this table, and inshallah, we're going to go over how to use the table and how to use, the maqasid, the sharia, to actually, for our relationships and in general in our life. It's like a blueprint for our life. So this is studied in usul. If you understand the maqasid, the sharia, which is a higher level thing, really watering it down. But if you understand it, as much as you understand it, you'll be closer to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from you, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from you to do at a particular time. And I think a lot of times, we have this thing where like we don't know what to do. We don't know if we should say yes to this, if we should say no to this, or what, how to conduct ourselves or deal with a certain person. But so I'm going to we're going to go through this chart and we're going to see how we can apply it and use it in our relationships and in general. So just in life, in kind of, organizing our own time, life, etc. Okay, I don't want to do that, but all right. Okay, so the five things that the Sharia seeks to, I'm gonna make this bigger, seeks to protect are in these rows. So the deen, the nafs, the self, one's person, the aql, the mind, nasal or ird, not ird. See, for some reason I can't. I don't know if it's blocked. I probably blocked it or something. I can't. I can't change it. It's strange. I still can't type. Anyway, I don't know what that's about. So it's not irsh, it's ird. Okay, ird. So that I'll try one more thing. Hold on. Oh, I can't change it. Again, I thought maybe I could change typing in here. Anyway, so ird is honor or nasab or lineage is self same as life. Yeah, protecting life, right? Self, not just life, but protecting like your limbs, protecting your like your physical, your the physical person, your physical person. Okay, and the aql is protecting the mental intellect, and that's why opposed to the this is in our sharia that like mental health and mental wellness and mental being, having sakina or having tranquility or peace and being free of anxiety is one of the things, and this is very important, is one of the things that our sharia aims to protect. And so if you are in a situation or in a relationship where you don't have that, that is not, you seek to change that to be at at a place where your mind is protected, because mental health, mental wellness, emotion, that also includes emotional well-being, is something, even though it's not understood as something really, people don't talk about it. People talk about prayer, we talk about, other things, but we don't talk about this is like one of the essential things that it's not made up in this century. People, the fuqaha, they derive this from the sharia, from the laws that the Prophet ﷺ brought, the sharia that the Prophet ﷺ brought and taught, which seeks to protect deen, the self, and the mind, and also lineage and honor. So relationships, for example, zina is haram. To commit adultery is haram. Why? It's to protect people's lineage and people's honor. And wealth, lastly, wealth, right? So to protect that. Now, the columns here, we have daruriyat, that which is necessary, absolutely necessary, which you can't do. If it were to be taken away, the thing at stake would be gone, right? So, for example, self, if you take away basic food, water, air, what, you lose the life, right? Um, and Dean, perhaps, it's not something so clear in the Dean, but somebody threatening to or forcing one to do kufr, so deen, the iman is necessary. Hajiyat are those things that are important. They're not, so dururiyat are necessary, hajiyat are important. So for example, for one's self, it's important to have like medicine. It's important to have like some basic nutrition that is like basic nutrition that is beyond just like something that's going to allow one to survive. So it's important to have like good nutrition, some basic good nutrition, and so to have like something, some protein, some like vegetables, some fiber, some, something that won't make a person sick, a certain amount of iron in one's body. So those kind of things, those are hajiyat. Those are things that are important. Tahsiniyat, what would you understand tahsiniyat? Give me examples of tahsiniyat for the self. We have so many tahsiniyat. Now we all live in the tahsiniyat. It's like harder to point out what's daruriyat and hajiyat than the tahsiniyat. Dessert, yes, dessert. Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi, um, depending on what it is, it could be important. So we're going to go through that. Like say you had an online job. Like for me, I do all my teaching online, so it's important. It's a hajiyat, it's not tahsiniyat anymore. So the urf is very important to know. There in Wi-Fi may have been uh, you know, urf meaning what's customarily available, that also goes into play. So this, like, to determine in terms of fiqh wise what you should prioritize, there's a lot that goes into it. You look at urf, you look at, the rulings, rights and responsibilities and things like that. But this, I'm giving you, like kind of like a blueprint, where we're not going through all those things here, but that is something that inshallah I hope to go through in my revival course, because it's meant, those things are meant to kind of give you like the edge on, you feel really comfortable doing being confident that this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants. Phones, again, phones, hajiyat, it depends who you are, but a lot, because the urf has become such that everybody has a phone, it's something that is important. It's not just something that's a comfort, right? So the urf plays a big role in, because you live in the city. Yeah, that's true. It depends again who you are. Uh, but like for example, in the city, um, my brother just sold his car too. He's like, I don't need it because I have, like, in the city, to have a car is sometimes it's a nuisance because like the parking and stuff like that, and you have like such like it's so easy to get around. I used to live in the city and now I live in upstate in Albany, and having a car is important. It's like hajiyat. It's really important. It's like, because you can't get anywhere. You can't get a, you can't go to the doctor, you can't get a thing of milk without a car, nothing. It's not like New York City, you can go walk down the block and get a car, whatever you need. So tahsiniyat, cake, cookies, chocolate, you know, dessert. Dessert is a good thing to say tahsiniyat. So those are tahsiniyat, desserts. The main meal, you can say it's important, a basic meal. Daruriyat would be from food, would be something that would keep that person alive, like, you know, um, a handful of food every few days or something, like some water. That is absolutely necessary. Hajiyat is a meal, when people are hungry. Make it maybe tahsiniyat is like the dessert. Okay, so are you guys with me? I really wish I could fill these out, but I'm sorry, I can't. It's frustrating. So, but I want you guys to uh, understand that. So when it comes to like mind, it could be, there's daruriyat, like there are some things that are absolutely necessary. Like this is going to keep you from going crazy. Okay. Like this is going to keep you from being, you know, going over the top, going, so that for example, not to be in a torture chamber, not to be in solitary confinement. Like those things are, to be in a place where you're not, you have interaction with people, etc., etc. That is necessary, daruri. I mean, it's hard to really imagine what it is here, but when we think about, Yusuf, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Farajan Ahl Gaza, you kind of see what those things are, the dururiyat, when you see like these people coming out of the torture, being tortured, being imprisoned and tortured, you see that they lost something that's daruri. They're still there physically, but they're not there mentally, because that what they were subject to caused them to severe, took away what was daruri, what was necessary for them to survive. So the hajiyat, what's important, for example, for the mind, would be like basic education. What's urf in education? What's important? Like people should know how to read. People should know how to count. Like it's not the same as during the time of the Prophet ﷺ even, right? At that time, there were a lot of people, most people didn't know how to read, but he encouraged that. He made a deal with some of the captives who knew how to read. He said, he would set them free if they taught so many of the Muslims to read. So encouraged reading, etc. So now it's a point where it's important to be able to read. You know, now this, as I said, it's not very uh, daqiq, meaning it's not going to be 100% terms of fiqh, okay? Uh, but I'm trying to give examples of that. So something that would be tahsiniyat, maybe in terms of your mind, would be like crossword puzzles. Something that's fun, but it's not necessary. Pursuing interest. Yeah, yeah, right. Something that's pleasure. It's fun. So when it comes to, let's see, wealth, to for something to be necessary is that you're not there aren't thieves all around that they're stealing your money, right? So it's important for there to be that kind of safety, not safety for self and for your wealth, right? So safety is for all is necessary. There's a basic amount of safety that's necessary for your deen, for yourself, for your aql, for your the nasl. Nasl, I skipped over. Actually, we can do nasl. Let's do that. Lineage, honor. What's necessary to protect nasl is for there to be marriage, right? For there to be marriage, there not to be zina. For other things to protect nasl, what's hajiyat would be to stay away from suspicious activities, right? To stay away from suspicion, and then comforts to have more modesty or have more haya, even. Okay, so that would be something about lineage or honor. Let's go to wealth. So wealth, what would be necessary to protect the wealth would be to be free for a certain amount of safety, right? Be free from thieves, be free from, people usurping, free from dhulm, free from oppression, free from corruption. So that destroys the wealth, that takes away wealth. Now, what is important would be something where it's not being wasted, where it's not being, it's important that it's not being squandered or wasted. And then what would be tahsiniyat, where it's growing, where it's actually growing, or hajiyat, no, excuse me. Hajiyat would also be like for wealth would be, um, some a basic amount of sustenance, the one that could keep you, would be according to the urf, would be according to what urf is, what's culturally good and acceptable and accepted as the norm, basically. So urf is like what is the norm, what's acceptable, what's good. Okay, so wealth is what is hajiyat is important to be in the urf. It's to be under the urf is like you're lacking something. It's good to be average, like that is important. In general, when we go to marriage, also we see urf plays a big part in what you give to the husband, what the husband, what's expected from the wife and the husband, etc. Then the tahsiniyat, or the comforts for wealth, is just having surplus or having that much where it can grow to grow fully, or have the potential to grow. Okay. So now I want to give an example of how this is played. All right. Okay. So, or how this works. So, for example, we have somebody is being threatened to be killed. Can you see my arrow? or my this cursor. Somebody is threatened to be killed. This is nafs. The darura is there's a threat here in the darura, the necessary. Okay, for the nafs that so that person is saying, commit kufr, leave your deen, um, and or else I will kill you. Okay, leave your deen unless I will kill you. So this is here. Now here, when it comes to saying the like pronouncing one's faith, it's not necessarily daruri, like necessity, but it is a necessity to be a Muslim, right? So the scholars say it's almost, I mean, one can say of course, that it's a rukhsa. They consider it the azima to actually be killed. Like we know some of the Sahaba, right? Instead of committing kufr, right? They took on the torture and they took on they were killed, right? Why? Because because of this. So here the nafs, it's important to protect the nafs, but they consider it even more important to protect the deen. However, there were Sahaba also that said did kufr on their tongues. And what did the Prophet ﷺ said? Say if they do this again, i.e., if they torture you again, say it again. But that was considered a rukhsa. A rukhsa meaning a dispensation. But so if someone were threatening you, was threatening someone to, if you don't commit kufr, I will kill you. There is reward in standing your ground and actually being killed. So you would be a martyr and you would be rewarded for that. Now this is so that's one scenario. Another scenario is where, say somebody says, eat pork or else I will kill you. Where is eating pork? So what did we say about deen? What is the daruri for the deen? What's necessary for the deen is iman. Did we go over the deen? I don't know, even remember. I think we didn't go over it. Okay, let me go over it now. The deen is the daruri, what's necessary in the deen is absolutely necessary, is iman. Right? And then again, so this is a little bit, there's excuse me, fluidity here, where when we think about different aspects, for example, for prayer, it can be necessary, but it depends on what lens you look at. It can be necessary or it can be even hajiyat, because the absolute necessary is actually believing, right? So, and then for iman, then you have what's important for that is to learn and to be, to protect one's iman, to be free of fitna. And then tahsiniyat is just to be around the salihin, do dhikr, etc. And then you have, for example, you can look at deen, like for example, prayer is necessary, is a fard, right? Prayer is fard. What's important to do is like the sunnahs, and the tahsiniyat would be the nawafil. So that is like another category. So now we want to see like or as I said, with daruriyat, you see the daruriyat like as iman, and the hajiyat are like the fara'id, like salah, prayer, etc. And the tahsiniyat are the nawafil, the sunnahs and the nawafil. Okay, so those are different ways to look at it. So now the question is, this person says, if you don't eat pork, I will kill you. Okay, so now you have a daruri here. What is eating pork when it comes to the deen? If we want to preserve, when not looking at it at the second way, the first way is that preserving iman is the most important thing. The daruri is preserving iman. Okay, and then the hajiyat is everything else. So eating pork is here. hajiyat. Do you see that? It's not a daruri. It's not from iman. And so the scholars say, if somebody refused to eat pork and from the threat of being killed and was killed, they would actually be sinful. Because why? Because they left something that was more important, which was protecting the self. Do you see that? Protecting the self is more important than not eating pork, right? Because we know that if you're in a critical situation where you're starving and you're about to die and there's pork, what do you do? Why is the chat so quiet? I want to hear. What do you do? I give you the answer. Just have to type it up. What do you do if there's, you can eat it? Of course, you eat it. You must eat it. It's fatal for you to eat it. You know, so the ruling changes. They're only ruling that changes that um uh from like every ruling, everything can change. There's the rulings of the Sharia, except Iman. Iman is like the only thing that's like thabit in terms of, you know, there's no time where you give up having Iman. But even there are times when the prayer changes, right? The salat al khawf, and then there are times when if the war is so strong that even that is given, you let that go. So here, if you're starving, it becomes pork goes from haram, but now it becomes fardh for you to eat because why? It's protecting yourself, which is a daruri. So anything in this column, the daruriyat column, that is the most important to protect. And anything that vies with this column from anywhere else in this column, even if it's deen, tahsiniyat of deen versus protecting self, what are you going to give preference to? Protecting yourself, right? Doing sunnahs or nawafil or saving yourself, you're going to save yourself, right? Um, even doing sunnahs or saving your wealth. Say your wealth is about somebody's about to steal your money and you're praying. What are you allowed to do? What can you do if somebody's um if you didn't eat the pork and you died, you would die as a sinner. It would be sinful to not eat it. That's why it's because you have to protect yourself. So save wealth. So what do? You break your prayer. If during your prayer you see somebody coming and stealing your whatever your purse in front of you, break your prayer and go after that person, right? Because it's like even if it's a followed prayer, you're allowed to break it because it's not you're not breaking your iman. You see what I mean? Here is wealth, and even if it's followed prayer, like it's important, but still it's not daruriyat. To save wealth is daruri. To let wealth go squat, like to be wasted or be lost, is daruri. Say you are praying and you see somebody is about to once there was an earthquake, I was praying, I broke my oh my goodness, you were told that your iman was weak. Oh my god, tell that person they have no fiqh. That person has no fiqh. Okay, so mashallah. All right. It's just strange. Yeah, let's see. But well, that's why the people who don't have fiqh. Okay, so that's just an example. Let's get into relationships because that was the point of this talk. Now, everybody has daruriyat, tahajiyat, and tahsiniyat. All right, and you have different levels of people here. So these things, these rows are going to change. For example, you have parents as perhaps number one, or your spouse is up here, and then you have parents, and you have your children, you have your like aunts and uncles, you have your students, or you have your friends, etc. And then you have daruriyat, hajiyat, and tahsinat for everybody. And don't forget up here as well, you have yourself. And you have daruriyat hajiyat and tahsiniyat. You have that which is necessary for you, that which is important for you, and that which is comfortable for you. Now, okay, I wish I could change this. This is really frustrating that I can't do that. But actually, yes, inshallah. Let me see if I can just make another, let's make another chart, right? See if it, I don't know. Actually, I don't think I can't type anywhere in here. Okay. I'm just gonna try to see if I can, that works. I don't know, I think I have it somehow locked in there and I don't know how to, I can't figure it out. Right. All right, here we go. So, oh, wait a second. That's not the right table. Just bear with me. How many columns do we need? Oh, it just actually doesn't matter because I'm not. All right, so we need here. Important and comfort. Okay, so yourself, spouse, parents, children, and this is not necessarily in order, okay, of importance. All right, let's go through this. So say there is something that is necessary for your any of those five things, for your deen, for your person, for your if it's necessary, right, for your well-being. Okay, this is a lot of it. What we're going to talk about right now is going to be about our intellect, about our well-being. Okay, because go back to this presentation here. Well-being. So we said that which is necessary about in your well-being, like we said, the necessary is just like you're not in a torture chamber. There's hajiyat, right? Now, if you're in a torture chamber, you're going to go crazy. But there is also sometimes when we are in when you are in an abusive relationship, you are missing some daruri things. When there is abuse in relationships, any abusive relationship, there is something either going wrong in the daruri, where in the daruriyat column here, or in the hajiyat column, not in the comforts column. Okay, when you have anxiety, depression, it's either there's something going wrong in daruri or hajiyat. Something depression, I would say daruri. You know, you are entitled. Every single human being is entitled to be free of anxiety, to be in relationships that you are not depressed, you are not anxious, or you don't have an inordinate and an exorbitant amount of stress. Okay, so you don't have a lot of stress. Every relationship you're going to have stress. Okay, there's also that, you have to accept there's going to be stress, daily stress. Yes, that's normal. You have stress with your children, with your spouse, with your parents, everybody. With that's normal. There's a basic amount that's normal. There's amount of disagreement. There's, of course, this normal, there's a big variation of it, and these kind of things are hard to say what is the urf, but somebody, if you are, for example, going and fighting with having fights with your husband or your in-laws or your parents like several times a day where you are like you cannot control yourself. It's so like the fight is so intense. That is not normal to have it that many times in one day. Okay. Maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks, once a month, depending on where also where somebody is at their marriage. A lot of times in the beginning of the marriage there's more strife as the couple gets to know each other. But so this uh when so we're going to talk about when it, in terms of relationships, if for example, let's say your and this is something I mentioned in my last class about the self-care. I said the question was, okay, you haven't eaten anything, it's 2 p.m., your husband wants to eat, he wants lunch, and you have crying kids or kids that are fighting, and what do you do? Right? So I don't know if my dear sisters are there from that class, but it goes back to fiqh. It goes back to fiqh. It goes back to this chart to understand this chart. What is lunch? What is lunch comparatively to having a meal? For your spouse, lunch is important. This is lunch. Oh, I can type here. So lunch here, it's 2 p.m. Your lunch is important. For your children, not fighting is either necessary or important. Okay. And for you to eat is important, but it's since you haven't eaten at all, he at least, your spouse at least has had breakfast. So yours is necessary. You get it? So what do you do first? Oh, and I also said your mom was calling about something important. All right. So what do you do first? Okay, say it's important. What do you do first? And some people are like, oh, let me take care of the kids and then go give lunch to the spouse. No, you are not going to do that because you take care of the kids, make sure they're not hurt. It depends how bad fighting they are, right? But you take care of the kids, make sure they're not getting hurt. Then you go get something to eat yourself. Why? Because that's necessary. That's important. No, you have to take care of the kids first because they're it could be physically, it depends, all I didn't go into all those details. I just said kids are fighting, but we have to make sure they're not fighting and ripping each other's hair out, and you're right. So that's necessary to protect their physical being. Okay, so it's necessary you stop the kids fighting first, you go get something to eat, and then you take care of the important things after. You get your husband something to eat, or he can get it himself, or you can ask him to help you, depending. The scenario was that he was working for home and he couldn't help you at that time. Otherwise, if you have a scenario like this, it's really this is another thing I was saying, subhanAllah, we don't mention enough that, or we haven't understood that concept enough, that our husbands are responsible for us. So if we are sick, if we are ill, who's responsible? We're responsible for our kids. Who's responsible for us? It's your husband. It's your husband. He has to take care of you. Who else is going to take care of you? Right. So if it's this case that you're like almost, so you ask for help. This is in the case that he couldn't do it. Anyway, and then you ask your mom to that you can call her back, at a better time. Right. All right. Okay. So now let's do another scenario. Okay. I do need to get to those questions, but subhanAllah, this has taken. It's not an in-laws because that's a big thing. Who can we remove and add in-laws? Actually, it just needs another. Let's see. Can I add an in-laws here? How do I add another thing? I don't even know. Okay. All right. So this will also give you an idea of if your spouse doesn't know this, you need to teach him. Okay. So, for example, when it comes to, all right, well, let's do parents for ourselves. There's something that you need, like something that is for your well-being or for your for your education or for your wealth, whatever you say, work. Say your parents don't want you to work. Okay. They don't want you to work. And this is where does work go? It could be, depending on your situation, it could be important or necessary, right? It's for you to make a living, important or necessary. And your parents don't want you to work. Now you have to determine, this is where it gets, uh, it's about knowing, like people skills and fiqh come into play here. Where is this demand that they don't want you to work? Is it necessary? I mean, it's not going to do anything physically harm to them, right? So it may be important to them, like emotionally. You have to determine that. What's the point of telling or asking you not to work, right? So it could be important or comfort. So do you have to do that? So it just depends. If it's a comfort for them and it's something that's important or necessary for you, you do not have to do that. Now, if it's both important for you and them, again, it has to, important. There's like scales of hajiyat, right? So this is not, it's like, it depends how important it is. If it's something like extremely important, like, I don't know, say you won't be able to visit them and they need help from you. And so you taking this job will actually harm them because they won't be getting that care that they need or that's important. They're not going to, die from it, but it's important. In that case, you listen to them. They have a right upon you. Okay, you see how that works? If it's just something, oh, they don't like it, they're like, oh, you're working in Walmart, it's embarrassing, we don't want to tell our friends that. You don't need to listen. Do you see it coming together here? I want some feedback. Are from you guys? How does that uh how does that sound? Does that make sense? You see the difference, necessary, important, comfort for parents. Nobody? Yes, yes, it makes sense. Okay. Oh, what did I do? Um, so let's use that. Okay. So um I'm going to say this is something, let's use that for like your in-laws. Okay. Say, you know, your in-laws, they want to go, if you need the job to provide for yourself and parents, so that is necessary. If you can't get another job, it would be, if you can't get another job, then it would be, um, then you have like a lot of necessary things. So it's either, then it would be like XX, uh, um, see, you would go back to this chart here and start filling in the X's, like where how many here, it's like for them, oh, I can't type in here, but to provide for them, basically, how many X's do you have in the necessary department? So to provide for this job, we'll give you necessary, like wealth, and necessary taking care for them as well. And they're going to miss out on like the necessary care they're going to get. But so what I would say is, you need to find another job, but keep this job because of the other things that you need. If you need, because not having this job will uh, goes like takes away from here. It's like this necessary over here. That's basic provision. Um, they're not allowed to work. Yeah. So, I mean, it depends if so this is the case where they need to work. A woman needs to work. If, say, she is being provided by her husband and family, it can be different. Say if your husband is providing for you, or your father is providing everything for you, you have a good amount of income, and you want to work at Walmart and or wherever, and your parents say no. It's like, it depends. Why do you want to work there? Because it's not necessary for you to work there. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's different. It becomes different. All right. Let's look at let's see. Live in a different city outside of traveling limits than your elderly parents, and your husband can travel with you. You're allowed to travel by plane on your own to fulfill their rights. According to the Maliki Madhab, yes. You can travel to, if you travel in like a bit like a plane, which is like a little like a town, and they say like a plane would be like almost like a town, people in a town or people in a caravan traveling with you, that would be allowed. All right. So say your in-laws, they want you want your husband to move out and live where he's living. Okay. And you don't want to live there. This gets so tricky, right? This gets so tricky. It really depends on whether they need the care, whether it's here or whether it's here. Is it they want him because they need him around, and they need him, to take, they need him, not you, but they need him to take care of them, or they just miss him and they would like to be around their son. And in terms of they just miss him, that's comfort. That's just tahsiniyat. That's extra. That's beautification. That's not something that's important or necessary. It is important, of course, but it's not something that's in those categories. Okay, whereas if moving for yourself, like, of course your husband has a job, things like that. Okay, so this is let me go to the questions now, because I think we're going to, or should I do another example? So we can do the examples based on just the questions themselves. Let me see here. Oh no, I got rid of the questions. Okay, let me go find. It depends if it's darura for their emotional well-being. If you miss someone, it's not darura. No. You know what I mean? It's like, come on. It depends. If it's been like long time, yeah. If they're getting depressed, yeah. But if it's like, so it goes back to the earth as well. I mean, remember back in the days, they would travel and they wouldn't see it would be a long time before they saw their they would be next to family. It could be, we didn't have that. But of course, yeah, I would say, like, if they're, depending where they are, every year to go visit, again, depending where they're, if they're abroad, if you have to travel internationally, then maybe every year, a month every year. If they are in the same country, maybe every couple of months, depending, right? So it would be different. Oh, here's the Q&A right here. All right, so the question I have here, I have a question is let me actually go grab my charger. Give me 1 second. All right. Spina. So where did everybody go? Okay. Obedience is often, I've seen it being phrased as obedience in all matters, unless he's asking for something in haram, which is pretty wide, all-encompassing statement. Is that correct understanding? Um, so yeah, this goes back to in terms of for the husband's obedience. That is something I cover like in detailed in the my revival course, but it goes back to knowing. So for all of these, when we look at, let me put my share back. When we look at like this chart, it goes back to not this chart. It goes back to knowing everybody's rights upon you. It goes back to know it's like what is necessary, what's your right, what is the spouse's right upon you, what is his, like those that are the daruri things that you must give him, right? And those, for example, is just and then what's important and comfort, or like the niceties, I should say niceties too, probably more appropriate. Comfort, niceties. I don't know if that's how you spell it. But anyway, so for the spouse is when it comes to intimacy, is it's necessary intimacy, asking permission to go out, as he is the he is responsible for your protection. So asking, or letting him know where you're going, etc., etc. So those are the main things, and when somebody comes into the house, also who is coming into the house, right? So those are three main things. Those are the necessary things. When it comes to everything else, to for distance where there are some people who take a my way or the highway approach. So now when it comes to the spouse, so these you have things that are important and necessary for you as well. For example, even in the fiqh, the fuqaha say if the husband has moved somewhere with his wife and she has no friends, he has to bring uh, someone who can be her friend. Because why? What's important there? What's lacking there? Because friends are important. Friends are important. They're hajiyat, right? Hajiyat, and it can depend. If you've lost enough hajiyat, it can go into something that's daruri, and that's why the hajiyat, there's a fluid relationship between hajiyat and daruriyat. Daruriyat are very solid things, but hajiyat, they can cross over and become daruriyat, okay, at a certain point. So for example, the need for socialization, it's important, but if it's to that extent that one has been deprived of it for so long, it becomes daruri, right? Like somebody's anxiety has anxiety or depressed, it can get so bad that they're going to lose their mind and go crazy. Okay, so for example, for when it comes to, let's see, I'm gonna try to go over this comment. Obedience in all matters. Yeah, so it depends. Now, say there's something he wants you to do something like, yeah, the question I had was the husband wants you to take care of his ailing mother. First of all, that's not his right. So it's not even necessary, okay, for you to do that. It's not a necessary. For that, it's important for him, but it's in terms of what his rights are, that's not his right at all. So it's with regards to yourself, with regards to him, taking care of it, taking care of his mother, his parents is important, is necessary, right? Is necessary. Um, but for you, it's something, it goes into this. It's niceties. If you do it, it's not it's not compulsory from you to do it. And just because your husband is asking doesn't mean you have to do it. Is because it's not from the realm of what he can demand. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like he can't demand, like, if he tells you go, I don't know, start farming. I don't know, it's not it's things that are within his realm he can demand. His realm is like the house. Okay, he expects you to do uh I don't know, to take the kids to school every morning, or to to at least teach the kids this, to homeschooling with this. This is something that you should do, not only for your kids, but also for the house, for the house itself. But when it comes to oh, cook for my friends, or cook for my parents, or that, you don't have to do that, because that's not even in his realm. Okay. Um, he is the leader of his kids. Now, okay, it's see, this is all like a misunderstanding of even like the basic, like the saying of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. الرجل راع. He says the question here is that I am always told that the husband's word goes, especially with decisions for children, that they are his kids and his responsibility. He's a leader, and we must listen. Let me see, where's my, I have a thing for that. Where is it? When it comes to the husband and the wife, where's that relationship? But it's the hadith the Prophet ﷺ said, الرجل راع ومسؤول عن رعيته, right? The man is a, oh, here it is. This is what I, understanding roles and responsibilities. Each of you is a shepherd, and each of you is responsible for his flock. The Amir is a shepherd over his people and is responsible for his flock. A man is a shepherd in charge of the inhabitants of his household, and he is responsible for his flock. A woman is a shepherdess in charge of her husband's house and children, and she is responsible for them. So what does that mean? When we talk about this, when we go back to this hadith, this is what we need to implement in our homes. You, as the woman, is the primary caretaker and the primary person who makes the decisions, like micromanages everything, is a woman. A husband should not be micromanaging her. That is not the sunnah. That is not what our Prophet ﷺ advised. This is the hierarchy that the Prophet ﷺ taught us. Okay, the man is responsible for his flock. He's responsible for his wife and his children, but it's not the micromanaging. It's macro managing, making sure that they have enough food, making sure they're safe, making sure that they're praying and their things are going well. When the wife, for example, becomes sick, what happens? The man is responsible. Who is responsible? Not the wife anymore. Not the wife anymore, right? This is how it looks. This is how the man has more responsibilities than the woman. This is just like obviously not it's just simple drawing, but this is the point here. But the woman is the first one who micromanages the children. Okay. And then when it comes to like details on that, um, uh, when it comes to details on that, um, micromanaging children, what was I saying? It needs to, let's go back to here, okay? Okay, when it comes to details, how many times, the kid, if a man ignores his wife, she wants X, Y, and Z for her kids, and he ignores it. It becomes okay. Sometimes like it goes from comfort and comfort or niceties, it can change to being important because of the nature of the relationship. Okay. For example, say that, her husband has, says he wants to take the kids out to this park every single time. Like, oh, what do they have, say they have a few hours on a Saturday evening to do something. Okay. The rest of the time, they're busy or whatever. What do you want to do? Oh, the husband wants to do this. Every single time it's what the husband wants to do. You know what's going to happen to yourself? Say this was your husband. What's going to happen? Say, I want to go this. Oh, I'm going to sacrifice for the how he wants to do it. Okay, he's the man. The things that you want to do, if you keep on being denied them, it's not going to just go away. They're going to become, if you can let them go away and completely like have nothing in your heart and you're fine with that, that's great. But a lot of times they're going to become resentful. And so it's not just comfort. Oh, you wanted to go, say you wanted to go to the park and he wants to go, I don't know, play basketball with the kids, whatever. I don't know what it is. But every single time it's going to change from comfort to night to important because it's going to become resentful. And there's going to be a time where you don't want it to become so important that it's like, khalas, it's like your husband never listens to you. And now it's actually a thing in your marriage. It's affecting your marriage because of that. You see how, it could be a comfort, something that, oh, where do you want to go out? Now, after 5 times of ignoring where you wanted to go out, this sixth time, it's not a comfort anymore. It's important. And if your husband ignores it, for him, his choice is a comfort. Do you see? Playing basketball is a comfort for you. Going to the park, now it's hajiyat. Because if you don't get that done, it's going to turn into resentment. And that is hajj. It's important to get rid of any negative things. It's important to get rid of resentment, get rid of hatred, right? Or get rid of riba, get rid of anything that's haram to have. It's important to, that's hajiyat. So do you see how you're more important? It's more important for the husband to listen to you. And it's important even for the family, for the sake of sakina and unity for the family, for you to say, no, we need to go here to the park because I need to go to the park. You see? That for the sake of the family. And you're not demanding, you're not being selfish, but you're at a point, if you have to know yourself, where you're at. Okay. Their favorite sentence, Muslima and Samira, you guys need to sign up for the revival course because that's all I talk about. Not that's all I talk about, that's one of my main topics. Is about the Sajda hadith. Even if it's a weak hadith, no, it's not inauthentic. It is a weak hadith that has several narrations. And so it's a hadith that the narrators of hadith, not the hufaz like today's hufaz, that the Imam Bukhari and Imam Ahmad, they did quote. And so it is important to get it addressed. It's important to get it addressed because the Prophet ﷺ said it for a reason, and that is one of the big things that I speak about. If due to chronic painfulness that is, sexual intimacy can't be provided, and he's okay with that, is the wife sinful? Definitely, if he's okay with that, you can't provide intimacy. If he's okay with that, the wife is definitely not sinful. But say he's not okay with it. I want to talk about if he's not okay with it. What's going to happen if he doesn't, say at this point, like say you have a yeast infection and you're treating it. It's not a big illness, but say you have a yeast infection, it's important to treat, right? Say it's important. His intimacy, for him, intimacy is not comfort. Say it's not, it's important as well. But what's going to happen if you don't treat it? It's going to get worse and worse and worse. Okay. And for him, if you don't treat it, inshallah, he's not going to do zina, right? He's just going to have to be patient and uncomfortable. And so you make that decision. It's either, if you have a yeast infection, he just has to wait. If you have a if it's a chronic painful illness, that's difficult. That's a very difficult situation. It's chronic. Um, let's see if there needs to be, if it's chronic, he's okay with it, it's okay, but if he's not okay with it, that's different. I would definitely seek different ways to satisfy him, because the intimacy, satisfying one's husband's intimately that way is one of his rights, one of his main rights. What if the husband commands wife to follow? Okay, wait. Let me just what mother-in-law says, that is how to run her house, chores, how to address husband. And it's not good at drawing boundaries to separate the spousal relationship with the wishes of his parents. Can he command the wife to do whatever the in-laws do? No, he can't. I already addressed that, right? I already addressed that, inshallah. Okay, let me take some questions that I had that people sent in. Where are they? What happened to my questions? I thought they were here. Oh, here they are. Okay. How do you, let's see, regards to, okay, also husband, when it comes to in-laws in South Asian cultures, the relationship between parents and children can be enmeshed, lack healthy boundaries. Yes, definitely. Not just South Asian, but if a couple has its relationship norms, who does what around the house, how spouses treat each other, but mother-in-law interjects repeatedly about how the wife should be and claims because she doesn't do XYZ, she doesn't respect the husband, doesn't care for the husband, such as chores, nothing relates to it. Okay. And that creates resentment, tension between the couple, as husband wants wife to follow mother-in-law. Husband is not good at creating boundaries. So that's unfortunate. I see that a lot. The husband needs to learn how to create a boundary, and the wife needs to there's see she has to teach the husband. It's really hard. It's hard. It's really a hard thing to do, and I will say, like, it's so important to have a coach to help you out with this, because it's not like a one-time thing, and it's not like I'll give you an answer and this is it. So you need and I had a wonderful coach to help me in a lot of these issues as well, because what you need to do, you're going to kind of need to demand in your own way. First you say it nicely, as I said, you request it and say, this is really uncomfortable, try to talk it out. And then it just if there's, because basically what it is like, he's invited her, like the mother-in-law is basically like, it's almost like in the bedroom with them, and that is a relationship that she's not allowed to be there, meaning, figuratively, right? She's that is, the mother-in-law should never interject. And if she's living there needs to be a lot of boundaries that the husband needs to put in place for his wife to be comfortable. Oh my God, I have so much to say on this, because subhanAllah, in the books of fiqh, if the wife just asks for a separate housing from her mother-in-law, the fuqaha, what do they say? They say that is the proof that there is harm. She doesn't have to say another word. She just says, I want to move out, or I want a place separate from my mother-in-law. She can demand a place. It's from her right to demand to never see her mother-in-law again. That is her right, Sharia right. Do women know that? No. She can demand never to see any of her in-laws again. That's her right. Of course, that's your husband's right as well, right? So you don't want to play with just rights and then you're going to your husband is never going to go see your parents as well. right? So you want to, if there's harm, genuine harm, that, there's anxiety and depression. And a lot of times I know there is. These daughter-in-laws gets in the midst of this, like, relationship where the husband just, the husband is responsible for keeping his wife safe, mentally, of course, physically, definitely, but also mentally. She doesn't have to be abused by his mother. His mother has no right to abuse her. And this is abuse. This is abuse, interjection and, criticizing, constant criticism. This is abuse. It's not okay. Let's call it for what it is. It's not like, or the mother-in-law just looking out for her son. It's abusing her daughter-in-law, and the husband must protect her. And so the first thing for this lady to do is kind of know her own place, know her own rights, know that she has a right to not be abused, and or she has a right to be free from stress and free from like this environment of fighting and all this stuff. And then, go take the means to demand that. Definitely need a like I would say, you need that, you need help to walk you through. You need somebody to hold you by your hand. It's emotionally, it's so difficult when you're in the midst of that. You need somebody who you can text, or you can, call, and you can be like, oh, this is what happened and I need help. If the wife sees its importance, but not the husband, is he ultimately responsible? He's ultimately responsible. So, for in terms of Fadl is education is the husband's responsibility. Are you talking about the kids? If it's about the kids, they're both responsible. If the wife can fulfill it, she must. And even if the husband doesn't, so if it's his ultimate responsibility, yes, but it's both are the responsible. Both of them have to give that to their child. In polygamy, can a husband put one wife in charge of other wives? Can a wife refuse to follow such authority? Ooh, that's the no, just like he can't put his mother-in-law in charge of her either. You know, uh, if say he's going away somewhere or something like that, um, they're I mean, it's like that's just weird, because that creates resentment too. And that's something that that is like one of the most unwisest thing to do, isn't it? So that's unfortunate. Hospital, okay. Becomes darura to seek healing from that for abuse, yes. Mine comes and goes through all the cabinets, asks me to change settings, clean up stuff. I'm a little anxious when she comes to stay over. That's abuse. You need to change that, and I hope you are able to. I'm going to put up my link for the revival, because I'll tell you something that is oops. Uh, oh, I'm so sorry. I should have stopped the share over there. Astaghfirullah. I didn't mean to do that. I'm going to send you guys the link for the revival course. And I'm familiar with that. You know, we need to teach our families how to treat us. That's what I'm going to say about that. You need to treat your family how to treat you, and your in-laws too, because their in-laws are like, they can, and I promise you, if you have other sister-in-laws and you are the one to change it, oh my God, everybody's going to be grateful for that. Everybody will be grateful. They won't say it to you, but they will be, because you'll be the one to change and stop the abuse. And that should be your intention. That should be your intention, to stop somebody from doing haram. Okay, that should be your intention. Um, Thought of the Ain education of the wife. Oh yeah, for the wife, the husband is responsible, yes, in that sense. Like he is responsible that she needs to get it, but she should also, because she's an adult. Same way as you're, you have adult children, you kind of, you're not as responsible for you're still, you look out for them, but you advise them, but you're not, responsible as like when they're children, right? If so, Fräulein educate, but the wife is different. The wife is different. The husband is more like responsible um for a wife. Like he is responsible for getting her the Fräulein. Uh, yeah, you need to treat people how to teach people how to treat you. That's what it is. Couple has been married for some time. They don't have any children. The parents on both sides say go to a doctor and mention that they're waiting for children. What advice do you suggest handling that sort of situation? Um, I would say if it's, the couple should decide when they are ready to go to I think if the couple is ready to seek out like medical advice, then they should. If they're not, then then they can like stall the parents, just say, okay, inshallah, we will, you know, say inshallah we will, like if you intend to do that in the future, so you don't, it's not something that you have to do if you feel that it's invasive, right? Right. The other questions here. Can you cover how to handle a situation where a spouse is not on the same deen path? So this is going to be tricky, but I would say, stick to the things, try to stick to the chart as much as you can, Oh, the other thing I wanted to do about the chart was actually, the whole point was actually about prioritizing, or one of the points. I don't think I can do it in terms of, say, oh, we did go through that. Like, oh, say there are multiple people who want things from you, your parents, you're not, okay, we did do that, right? All right, I think we did, yeah. Inshallah. Okay, so in terms of if your spouse isn't following the deen, you still, obviously you fulfill their rights, and but you still, if there are things that, they ask you that are encroaching, this is in general. If your husband asks you something that encroaches upon your well-being, you don't have to do that, right? You don't have to do it. So anything that disturbs your, goes, of course, the daruriyat are also the hajiyat, depending on what it is. How do you deal with parents? I think I would need, for the last question, who's not on the same deen, I would need some more like examples of like what their issues with. How do you deal with parents when they're nitpicky about trivial things? This is really hard. This is really hard. But because parents, they have such a high maqam for respect. Respect is paramount when it comes to parents. So, and when they're nitpicky, it's really annoying. It can be abusive, right? So you have to see where you're at. Like if it's like something that nitpicky of trivial things, and it's just comfort for them. It could be that, you can ignore it to a certain time, but then it's going to get like really annoying and like get really under your skin. Then it can becomes like a hajiyat that you need to take care of. The way that you take care of things that are constant, you need to take care of yourself at that point. Say X, you're not changing your parents. You can't, you can't block your parents. You can't get a divorce from your parents. And I'm not saying you would do that for your husband either, but you're not going to ignore your parents. You need to, how can you, go back and have this relationship with your parents, knowing that they're going to be constantly doing that. You need to rejuvenate, or like come build yourself up in a way that, release, do some emotional release, do some meditation, do whatever it is that you need that works for you to do, that you can go back to your parents and be kind and respectful. It could mean creating some boundaries, and it could be mean being like firm, not disrespectful, firm, Whereas say, just in a way that's, humble, but like showing, you're showing your feelings, but in a humble way, in a down way. Always be down with your family, with your parents, not with your family necessarily, not with all family. You don't have to do that. You don't have to be down with, everybody, but with your parents, it's always down. Like you say, says they're being nitpicky, saying, I can't stand that. I can't stand this. I'm not going to take this anymore. No, that demeanor, it's too harsh. Say, mom, this is like so hard whenever you do this, please. So you come in a humble way, okay? And you don't come in an arrogant way. I hope that's clear. But if you need to do like boundaries, um, uh, you can do boundaries if it's something like, if it's affecting if it's getting under your skin, right? And you're going to be like, blow up with it, it's really bothering you, then you do need to put down some boundaries and say, you may need to, like, say it's on WhatsApp or whatever, and just go into the other room. Okay, say, I really need a break. I'm sorry. And just go into the other room, maybe go outside for a walk. Um, it's hard if you're living with them. It means like you may need to limit your interactions. So it really depends what the details there are. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you tawfiq. What else here? Question. Mom, adult, and also, yeah, discuss abusive parents. She spat at me. This person had a mother spit at her. Okay, so that is abusive. Definitely, you need, I would say that's, when it comes to honor, those kind of things matter with honor. And she, like, it's really dishonorable, and I said one thing is important to note is that even if you're if you're an elder, you deserve respect. And our deen, elders deserve respect, right? The Prophet ﷺ said, he is not from us who does not respect the elder and who does not give mercy to the younger one. But it doesn't mean that the elder has a right to disrespect. The elder has a right to respect. The elder does not have a right to disrespect. We need to write that in like gold and let people or communities know that, right? The elder has a right to respect. The elder does not have a right to disrespect. Okay. So that goes for parents as well. Now, parents, they do have like this leeway, I would say. Like it depends. Like if not leeway, but there is we have to be so careful with them. Now, a parent that is like spitting on you, they've violated kind of like your honor. It's like really dishonorable, to do that. It's really disrespectful, really dishonorable. So it's like hajiyat. So I would say that what to do with is really to if that was done to you, just like say this is, it can express like a lot of frustration that this is so disrespectful and dishonoring, and just leave that situation, leave that room. And maybe if you have somebody else's house, like if you have a grandparent's house, if you have an aunt or uncle's house, to go to like just a little bit, like for a night or for a few hours, or just to show that this is really this and unacceptable. You have to, like, it has to be shown that this is unacceptable, that you're not going to accept that. It's been a long and she said it's making her feel ill. And so, yeah, that really needs to be treated. You have to have some boundaries there. And every time that it's violated, you do something that show it's not okay to do that. Mom and adult son daughter relationship, it is around the quality of the decisions they make and advising them. As a parent looking in, the ramifications are clear to us. It is just that they are not understanding the reasons why we would advise against. Kindly advise on our approach and boundaries. So this is, a lot of the things we've seen is like the opposite. Oh, a child how can we understand what our parents are telling us? Now, a parent wanting to give advice to a child. Now, for you as a parent, what can you can give advice. You can give them advice and, try to do your best when it comes to communicating and saying why. But you have to really, there's a point, and it's really hard. And I remember, subhanAllah, when I was thinking about this question, I was like, subhanAllah, I can see in the past where my parents telling me, don't do this and this. And I had to do it because I couldn't accept, I wasn't mature enough to see that. And there was times when they told me, don't do X, Y, and Z, and or they didn't want me to do it. And I did it, like going to Syria, and I never regretted it. It's like it was the best decision of my life, you know. And so it's like when it comes to making mistakes, sometimes your children have to make those mistakes, and it's hard. You can advise them and then just sit back, make dua, and just watch them learn. Watch them learn. If they're gonna fail, they're gonna learn through that, inshallah. So that's try to do your best in terms of communication. And it of course depends what big decisions they are, if it involves your rights or not. So it's different in terms of that as well. Right. Let me get a question from here. Um, if today's your birthday, I've turned 53, mashallah. May I've ruined my life being a good wife and daughter at my expense, and it was not necessary to do so. My consolation was that would I be rewarded by Allah, but now I'm doubting that would I be rewarded if by Allah if I accepted stuff just to make people happy or keep quiet. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you the best and give you a reward for that. Yeah, of course, if you thought that that was what was righteous to do, I feel like, yes, we are under a lot of misinformation about what's righteous. What is righteousness? As a wife, as a woman, it's not righteous to be a doormat. It's not righteousness to be a doormat. But if that's what, if your intention to do those things were to, because you thought it was righteous and you thought that would please Allah, it all goes back to your intention. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you what's best. And, everything subhanAllah, and this came at a good time because I was just thinking about this yesterday, that I have a friend who's going through a very difficult time, and her husband asked her to do this, and it was like a deal breaker for both of them. So she gave in. Deal breaker meaning, if you don't do it, I'm going to divorce you. So she gave in, and she accepted his deal breaker. So she chose to remain married. But she's like, it's caused such a difficulty between her and her kids and things like that. And she's like, I can't see the wisdom. And I was thinking, that this dunya is darul bala. You may never see the wisdom. There are things that I will say there were like literally the worst day of my life. And now when I look back, I was like, that was one of the best things that's ever happened to me. Wallahi, wallahi, wallahi al-azim. And it's just so clear. Like it's still the worst day of my life. That certain thing that happened to me, it was the worst thing. And I still feel the pain of that day. And I still feel as though it was the worst day of my life. Like I've had a worse day than that day. But I was like, if that didn't happen, I wouldn't have so many good things in my life. And I feel like it was the quote unquote worst day, which was actually one of the best days in my life. I can see that there's some people we can see those things, and some people we just can't. Some people we can't. And so, but don't think that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not doing that which is best for you. Sometimes we get to Jannah. There's some people who get to Jannah through their trials, that they come through Jannah through their trials. So may Allah may those things that you found difficulty in, and you spent your life, having really difficulty, it's going to come back, inshallah, for you on the day of judgment. And you will be like, you know what? In exchange for that, it's going to be worth it. Okay. Oh, where did you guys go? Right. Okay, I'm going to close up here, inshallah, and say this is wow, this is I feel like this is the topics here. There's a lot to talk about. Well, I'll just answer this. Sibling emotional abuse, emotionally abusive. Can you set boundaries of relationship by only mailing greeting cards and special, not calling, texting, etc.? Parents get upset that though at you and not other siblings. Favoritism. Am I disappointing parents? Um, if they're that emotionally abusive, wow, not even text. I would say, text them and block them right afterwards. They're not parents. Siblings are not parents. Obviously, you have to keep that relationship. Um, if it's like that bad, I mean, it may be uh, I'll be honest, it's hard for me to imagine. It may be something I hope that that you yourself are in an emotionally stable place, that you yourself have to be emotionally in a good place to not be like, if you're like a if you're like one of those, like a dandelion or something, it's gonna sway with the wind. Whatever happens, you're not strong, you're not firm, you're not emotionally strong. So whatever criticism somebody says, even if it's normal, if it's like, okay, there's some things that your mother-in-law is going to say, it's just like she's going to say, okay, it's just like, just you just have to take it, because that's normal. It's normal, meaning it's not nice, but whatever. They're you do differently from the way they did it, and they think their way is right. But it's like, is every single criticism is going to be like throwing you over? So you have to look at that as well. Are they really abusive, or are you just like emotionally in a place that you're so vulnerable that you need a lot of protection? That's something else, because I'm just wondering if yeah, I have, people in my family that, I don't really want to talk to too much because they're like, they're just mean, but I can survive a phone call with them. You know what I mean? Like phone call like twice a year. I can survive a phone call. So you can't survive a phone call, and like that's or a text. That's like, so that's something to look into, where that's going. Okay, so inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make this beneficial. And you can see that this is something that in the course that I do, let me go back here. This is my, like some of the revival slides, right? How many do I have? I have about, this is 191 without the new, like the updated slides as well. But it's a lot. And this is actually not from this new course. This is from the first course. The stuff that is from the new course, I haven't added yet. So it's like pretty much it's going to be at least 250, almost double, because the last course was 3 months and this is 6 months. But honestly, it's like 6 months, and I've kept it from being it's something that it's meant to be like ongoing. Like these are things that we are meant to have suhbah, so much suhbah, like regular. This is the point of it, is that regularly you are meeting with me, and I'm teaching you that regularly, that yes, it is it is this is right. And you're going to go back, when you go back to your families, they've never heard this stuff before, and you're going to present something, and it's going to be like everybody's going to come at you because not only that they've never heard it before, they're not taught this, unfortunately. The things that we have on mainstream is so mainstream, meaning, your local imams, etc. It's so I feel like it's so against women, unfortunately. Um, and that is because in general the ummah is in decline. We don't have a khilafah, we don't have this, and we don't have that. And I mean, look at the state of our brothers and sisters in Gaza. We can't even help them, right? We're like uh Huthala. You know how the Prophet ﷺ described us, right? We're like the foam of the sea. And so the first things that the foam, when you're like that, the first things that go are the most vulnerable people are those that are going to be faced with the most hardship, those that are poor, those that are weak. And so the women, as women, yeah, we have it bad. We have it, inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us uh, I don't want to say that. It sounds so ungrateful, astaghfirullah. But we are, in general, women are, they face a lot of oppression, and it's validated by the deen, and that's why it's important to get that knowledge. What about traditional scholars who have studied in Syria that say sing that are misogynistic? Well, I cover that too. I cover that too because let them say what they want, but we go back to the Sunnah and the Sirah. We go back to the Sunnah and the Sirah, and that's why I say when you go back to the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, it's like, do you understand like how much power you have when you go back and talk about the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? There's some things, and it's not just, I'm not getting it straight from the hadith, but it's also from the ulama. We have ulama that are, that explicitly say this, and then you quote them, and there's people like there's forget about the traditional scholars today. There's Imam Ghazali, Allah yarhamu, so he's one of the greatest scholars, but the things that he says about women, and just not about women, also about like there are things that are said about maybe other the races. There's racism, and so we have to point that out. We have to recognize that every single scholar we take and give from, we take from, and we not give, but we accept and we reject. Except from our Prophet ﷺ, and we accept everything. Okay, so something that I invite you all to. I feel like this is something that I would is important to continue, and that's why I say, when you have something that you're meeting every week, you're going to go back with this information. When you have it, you're going to go back and face your families, and it's going to be like, what are you talking about? That's garbage. So and so says this, and so, oh, you're just being feminist and this and that. You're going to need another session. And we're going to, until you get it down really well. And so it's 6 months of talking about the wives of the Prophet ﷺ. It's really 6 months of talking about the family of the Prophet ﷺ and how the wives lived. And that's why I have a thing of the lives of the best of wives. And it's like, when you talk about the wives and how it's the lives of the best of wives here, I love this because it's just we're just talking about how the Prophet ﷺ and his family lived, and if you know that, you are going to be the most empowered. You're going to be the most empowered person in your household, because you're going to be like, this is how the Prophet ﷺ treated his wives. This is what the wives did. Who is anybody who's going to say that? Nobody. They just have to be quiet and listen. So inshallah, um, I look forward to seeing you guys inside in the revival program. Inshallah, wa say Jazallahu anna Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wa ahlu. Jazallahu anna Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wa ahlu. Jazallahu anna Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wa ahlu. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. I appreciate that, Fatima. Jazakumullah khairan. If you share with others, and it is really like rare stuff that I'm this program is very different from that what I've seen around. I haven't seen anything like it. I'll be and inshallah I pray it's of benefit, inshallah. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin, sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.